But as far as Final Battle goes, we're getting another Swerve in Our Glory match. I thought we were done with this, but they're reuniting hopefully one more time on Saturday against Shane Taylor Promotions. Shane Taylor and JD Griffey. I don't even fucking know who JD Griffey is. I know Shane Taylor from Ring of Honor, but like, this is one of those things where like, I know the history between Keith Lee and Shane, but you would really have had to watch Ring of Honor 5 or 6 years ago to even remember they teamed for a 6-month stretch. It's like, why do they do this shit where they expect people to care or like give a fuck or like, they just Shane walked backstage in a random 30-second segment last week on Rampage. It's so random. Like, I think I'm going to say Swerve in Her Glory wins this, and then maybe Swerve turns on him anyway. Maybe he returns the favor by turning on Keith. I don't know. Who fucking knows? I'll say they win this because it really doesn't matter either way.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I think you just Swerve in Our Glory win. Like you said, I saw the clip. People were going crazy. I'm like, I honestly have no idea who this guy is. I never watched Ring of Honor, so I don't know who he is. Like,
exactly.
I even saw people that like were pretty plugged in. That like, honestly, I didn't even know who that was until like they kind of put some context to it. So, I mean, they like doing that. Like, I mean, I guess if you're hardcore and you're into it, you get it. But like, to me, I never watched Ring of Honor, so I have no idea who he was. I mean, I think Swerve in Our Glory win, and like you said, maybe Swerve turns on him. But I mean, I don't know why the other team would win unless like Swerve backed out and like you said, he did the same thing to Keith. Like, he left Keith by himself, and then he was there. But I'll say Swerve in Our Glory won.
All right, yeah, I'll say Swerve in Our Glory win as well. Like you said, unless he walks out and they give the other team the win, I don't know why else he would have the win unless they're signed to Ring of Honor, we'll see. Dalton Castle and the boys defending the Ring of Honor World 6-Man Tag Team titles against the Embassy's Brian Cage and the Gates of Agony, the titles that no one really... I mean, all these titles really don't mean anything, but the Embassy's all over AEW TV, so I'll just say they win this thing.
I was going to say, I've seen so much of the Embassy in the last, 2 months, I'm going with
Castle and the boys. I know Castle was in the Battle Royal last night, but they're never on the show, really. And the Embassy, we've said it before, they're glorified stepping stones. They always fucking lose, Cage specifically. So, you got to justify them being on the show in some form or fashion. Give them something, even though the titles are as worthless as the belts around our waist right now. But, I think they win this thing. Part 3, Daniel Garcia and Wheeler Yuta for the Ring of Honor Pure Championship. Yuta won the first one at Death Before Dishonor. Garcia won the belt from Yuta on Dynamite in his hometown back in September. Again, doesn't really matter. It depends if Garcia is going to be the one to take the belt off of Jericho or not, and you would have to clear him up with the Pure title before then. I think Garcia retains here. I'm not really sure why you would put the belt on him just to put it right back on Yuta, which we'll talk about with Jericho and Castagnoli coming up, but I think Garcia retains here. I guess it could go either way, though.
I think Garcia wins, too. I just don't know why you put the belt on him just to take it right off him, so...
Yeah.
I don't watch flip-flopping here, so I'm going to go with Garcia.
Yeah, that and the fact that it's interesting. Garcia won the belt, and we've actually seen less of him on the show since he became champion. So it's actually been more of a downgrade for him than anything else. Mercedes Martinez against Athena for the Ring of Honor Women's World Championship really hasn't been focused on the shows at all. At least Dynamite and Rampage a little bit, but barely. I think Athena takes the title here. I think I've actually liked the new attitude from Athena. It's the most interesting she's been in many years. And Martinez has barely been on the show. I know she was hurt for a while. She's good, but she's been champion since May. I think it's time for a change, and I think Athena wins the championship, especially since she could not win the TBS title.
I was going to say, if she can't win this title, she might as well just pack her bags and go home. So
well, you could say the same thing about Serena Deeb, too. Same thing happened with her.
Yeah, so I got Athena winning here. I mean, I haven't seen Mercedes on TV in forever.
Yeah.
I think you just put it on Athena because, like you said, she's not winning either AEW Women's title, so you might as well just give her this prop belt.
Yeah. Samoa Joe, Juice Robinson, Ring of Honor World Television Championship. I want Joe to win. Not that it really matters because he's a double champ. He has the TNT title still. I think Wardlow cost him the win here. The only reason I say Juice wins is because they just signed the guy, and he already was on TV a couple months ago losing to Jon Moxley. So they kind of have to justify signing him to make him feel like a bigger deal than he actually is. I feel like they kind of have to win here. He kind of has to win here because if he doesn't, it's like, why the fuck would you even sign the guy? I think Juice Robinson wins the title here with help from Wardlow to kind of, even the odds, and then Joe and Wardlow can focus on the TNT title. I would like Joe to win because I just like Joe more than Juice, but I think Juice Robinson takes the title here.
I didn't even know this was a match until you just said it.
They just announced it on Friday.
Yeah, I guess, like you said, I feel like the story is Wardlow and Joe, so free up Joe for that. You just have Juice win here. Not like it really matters, but I'm going to go with you as well.
FDR and the Briscoes, Part 3 as well. Double dog collar match for the Ring of Honor World Tag Team titles. Incredibly fucking random. I know they have history from the other Ring of Honor pay-per-views, but it's like they literally announced this in the final 30 seconds of Dynamite on Wednesday. I know they had to justify a stipulation for it because the last match was best 2 out of 3 falls. Double dog collar, I'm sure that was like the FTR idea. That's cool and all. It's just like we haven't really seen this feud at all since July. So to announce it randomly as a double dog collar match, it's a great attraction. I'm sure it's going to be an awesome match. It's just really fucking random. I was like thinking like why the Briscoes aren't even on the show. But it is funny though because like they were teasing the Kingdom for a couple weeks. This is another one, by the way. They were teasing the Kingdom for a couple weeks. Like going for the Ring of Honor tag titles. Like, oh, the Briscoes beat us for the belts. We never got a rematch. I'm like, okay, cool. Like, okay, Kingdom and FTR. Like, all right, I'm looking forward to that. I think Taven faced Wardlow at the Rampage that we were at in Connecticut a couple months ago. I'm like, okay, cool. Like, maybe they'll start ramping this up soon. They weren't on the show at all. They were barely on Dynamite. They signed, by the way. I forgot to mention that. They fucking signed with AEW. I'm thinking, okay, that's kind of dumb. They probably should have gone to WWE, but whatever. And then I'm thinking, okay, they're probably just keeping them quiet until Final Battle, and then we'll get the Kingdom and FTR at that show. But it's the fucking Briscoes again. I'm like, what's even the point of the Kingdom shit? And I know they're not hurt either. Matt Taven's wrestling here in Connecticut at a show like next weekend. And unless Mike Bennett's hurt, I'm not even why the fuck sure they signed these people. It's like, dude, what are we even doing here? But anyway, that's besides the point. If they're even doing a third match, I think the Briscoes are going to win this thing because they already lost the first 2. Are you going to do a third match and have them win all 3 times? Like, what's the point? So I think the Briscoes get the belts back here.
I completely agree. I mean, I totally forgot the fucking Kingdom signed with AEW, and then you just mentioned it. It was like a fucking... It's like that Simpson gif when the dad comes in with his hat and puts it off. And puts it off and walks out. Like, I remember I saw them for a quick second. I haven't even heard of them since. So that's funny. But yeah, I think Briscoes win here. I mean, we kind of both said that. I mean, I think the FTR is probably leaving in the next couple months, so it's better to take the belts off them now and kind of flush them out. So that's kind of the plan. So I got Briscoes here.
I agree. Jericho and Claudio Castagnoli for the Ring of Honor World Championship. Now, this can go either way just because Claudio, the stipulation is that obviously he'll get the belt back if he wins. If he loses, he joins Jericho Appreciation Society. Regal's gone from AEW. We mentioned Blackpool Combat Club earlier. People have said, Jericho wins and Claudio gives Jericho his comeuppance. I don't know. I think Claudio wins. I think they're probably going to want to do what you said a week or 2 ago, and I fucking hate this idea, that they're going to put Hager and Claudio back together as a team to justify Hager's whole hat obsession, which is so stupid. They did it last night, too. I'm like, what are we even doing here? But I think Jericho retains, because again, it goes back to the Yuta and Garcia thing earlier. Why even bother putting the belt on Jericho and doing the whole, a crusade against Ring of Honor, if the belt goes right back to Claudio? Wasn't the whole point to put the belt on Garcia? If it's not Garcia who beats Jericho for the title, then this whole thing was a complete waste of time. Why even take the belt off of Claudio? And I like the Jericho stuff for about a month or 2, but they haven't really done much with it lately. And he's been facing Danielson and Claudio. This is like the 3rd or 4th time he's faced Claudio. It's like, dude, move the fuck on. I think Jericho wins here. It's a lose-lose, because if Claudio wins, I'm like, this whole thing was a waste of time. But if Jericho wins, I don't want to see Claudio and Jericho Appreciation Society. So I feel like there's a drawback either way.
Yeah, I think it's a lose-lose, honestly. I think Jericho wins here. We get Hager and Claudio again, like anyone cares. But like you said, even if Claudio wins, which is nice, like, what was the whole point of Jericho beating all of Ring of Honor just to drop the belt right back to Claudio?
It's such a fucking waste. It just makes no sense. And there was still more potential you could have done with the Jericho stuff as far as bringing in former champions. But, that's just me. Davey Richards was an option, Eddie Edwards. But that's my own opinion on that, I guess. As we wind down here real quickly on the NXT front with Deadline that same night and on Saturday. One quick note, they actually did just officially announce like 10 minutes ago, I think, on the conference call. NXT is indeed officially returning to the road for the premium live events, which I hate calling it that. But starting with Vengeance Day in February, they're going to Charlotte, North Carolina. Obviously, Stand and Deliver is going to be over Mania weekend in LA. And then after that, I don't know where they go. So I'm very happy to hear this because you and I have been to a lot of takeovers and a lot of different venues. We went to Philly. We've been to the New York one. We've been to the one in Florida. We were at the Tampa one, or Orlando, rather. We've been to a lot of takeovers in a lot of different cities. So, I'm looking forward to this. I don't know if they didn't do one in Boston, shockingly. That kind of surprises me. But, yeah, so they're going to be returning to the road with Vengeance Day. What are your thoughts on that?
No, I think it's good. I think getting out of the PC is nice. I think it's helpful, especially for the young guys. I mean, when you get the same crowd every week, I feel like it's kind of tough. When you get out on the road, you kind of get more of a swath of different people and different reactions. So I think it's nice. I mean, I think the PC and Full Sail is nice, but I feel like when you move on, you kind of get a different reaction and kind of can gauge the overall public better.
I agree. They already started doing the house shows in Florida, the house show, the Coconut Loop, so to speak. So I'm glad they're doing that with the house shows, and now they're going back on the road for the bigger shows. And maybe once in a while they'll go on the road for the weekly shows. Once in a while, maybe not every week, but I like that a lot. So Deadline is at the PC on Saturday. Hopefully the final PC pay-per-view for a while. But we got Pretty Deadly defending the NXT Tag Team titles against the New Day, who showed up on Wednesday. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I don't know if this is a bold opinion or not. I actually really like this idea a lot because the New Day have nothing to do on SmackDown right now. I know they just had Kofi face Gunther on Friday's show last week, but they lost to the Usos 17 times. You're not going to go back to that match. They don't really have anything to do. There's only one set of tag titles. They already feuded with the Raiders. You can't do a non-title feud with them now. There's nothing for them to do. But the one titles they've never held in this company, the NXT Tag Team titles. And they can become Triple Crown champions. I think the only other team to do that was FTR. I like this a lot, and honestly, I think they're going to win. I think you can have them. There's really not much of a division left in NXT. Pretty Deadly were right when they said they beat all the other teams. I'm not even really sure how many teams they have in NXT, but honestly, I like Pretty Deadly a lot, but I think the New Day are going to take the titles here, and I think it would be interesting to have them in there for a little bit of a brief run. It takes them away from SmackDown for a while. It's something new. I like this a lot because Kofi was never in NXT. Xavier was 10 years ago. So I love this. I think the New Day take the titles here.
Yeah, I don't hate it. Like you said, I feel like they've just done everything on the main roster, and it's at this point, what can you do? They just lost to the Raiders, like you said. They're not going to face the Usos for the 10 millionth time. I think it's fine. Getting them up around SmackDown is refreshing. It's kind of the whole, how can I miss if you don't go away? Especially with them, I feel like they've just been so on SmackDown doing the same shtick for so long. It's kind of just run its course. So I don't mind this. I don't know if I have them win. I feel like if they're going to stay in NXT, they should win. So, yeah, I guess you can have them win here. I like Pretty Deadly, though. I think they're a good little team. And, I guess you get the New Day going over and do something different.
Yeah, we only have 5 matches on the show. And I'm surprised they're not doing, Von Wagner and Odyssey Jones. And they've teased that. They're not doing it, which doesn't make much of a difference to me. But I'm surprised they're not doing that. And no North American title defense from Wes Lee. They're waiting longer to do either him and Dijak or him and D'Angelo or a triple threat. That surprised me that we're not getting that. Unless they announce it today or tomorrow, I'm very surprised that Wes Lee is not on the show defending that championship. I know they had the 2 Iron Survivor Challenge matches, though. And another match I don't really give a shit about, I'm sure you don't as well, Alba Fire and Isla Dawn. Isla Dawn does nothing for me personally. I've mentioned that many times before. As someone who watched her in NXT UK. Alba Fire is a total loser at this point. Do you really have her lose again? I really don't care about Isla Dawn. I think they're going to have Alba Fire win, but by DQ. They're going to do a fuck finish here to continue the feud to ensure that Alba doesn't lose for a 10th time. If Isla wins, if I had to pick a winner definitively, it would be Isla, but I think Alba Fire wins here by DQ. Alba Fire wins by DQ. That's my prediction.
Yeah, I mean, this match is like the piss break. Go get popcorn. Go do something else for 15 minutes. So I like Kaylee Ray. They basically buried her at this point. So, I don't even care who wins this match at this point. I'll pick the other girl. I just don't care.
Who gives a shit? They have another women's match on the show that I actually do care about. Roxanne Perez, Cora Jade, Zoe Stark, Kiana James, Indy Hartwell, Women's Iron Survivor Challenge match. The winner of this match earning a future opportunity at the NXT Women's Championship. I'm going to say, of all the women in this match, the only 2 names that really stick out, I like Cora, but I don't think Cora's going to win. It's either Indy or Roxanne. Indy she qualified on Tuesday, and then she confronted Toxic later on in the show. They've done Mandy and Indy before, but Indy, that wasn't for the championship. Roxanne has gotten at least 1 title shot. She's faced Mandy twice. She lost both times. She had 1 title shot, and she lost that match due to Cora. Indy is the dark horse here. I'll go with my original pick in Roxanne, though, because I really want Roxanne to be the one to take the title, although I still fear that it might be Nikita Lyons.
Yeah, I'm going with Roxanne here as well. I like Cora a lot. I just don't think it's going to be her. Like you said, Indy's kind of a dark horse, but I'm going to go with Roxanne.
Yeah, hopefully she wins this thing. For the men's one, Carmelo Hayes, JD McDonough, Grayson Waller, Joe Gacy, and Axiom, who qualified on Tuesday. Men's Iron Survivor Challenge match. You got 4 heels and a undercard babyface. So you have to know a heel's winning this thing to challenge the future NXT champion. Carmelo Hayes, slam dunk. I think we got to get him and either Apollo, which I don't think is going to happen, but either him and Breakker or whoever for that championship before Hayes goes up to the main roster.
Yeah, I think this is Hayes all the way. I think there's like a slight chance maybe Joe Gacy wins. I don't want to see it, but I think there's like a slight chance he wins. But I think it's Hayes all day.
I was going to say, well, Gacy's already gotten his shots. I would hope they don't go back to that. I would say maybe Grayson Waller, because they teased him and Breakker a couple weeks ago, and they never actually... I don't think they've done that match yet, and I would like that match. I don't know if Waller's in that spot yet to be ready for an opportunity like that. Hayes is. Give him the win. And we get to the main event, Bron Breakker, Apollo Crews for the NXT Championship. I've actually really liked the build to this. We haven't really talked about this a lot on the show, but, the fishing stuff, it's so, it's different. Like, it's not like, oh, I'm going to kill you on Saturday. Like, they're actually talking, I don't know, as actual normal human beings in, diners and going fishing and shit. I don't know. Personally, I really like this a lot. And I think it's going to be a good match. I do think Breakker retains. I think Apollo probably has the best chance of anyone of beating Breakker for the belt, just because they've told this story for so long now and he never held the title. I would probably just keep it on Breakker until he drops it to Carmelo or someone else. But I'm going Braun, but honestly, I wouldn't hate if Apollo was the one to take the belt from him.
Yeah, I have Braun winning too. I think he holds the belt until he loses to Carmelo, honestly.
Do you do that in New Year's Evil, or do you save that for... if Carmelo Hayes wins his match, I don't think they'll give him his opportunity at fucking Stand and Deliver. They could wait till Vengeance Day in Charlotte.
I would have him win at Vengeance Day, or New Year's Evil.
Okay, yeah. Speed up the process, so we'll see. If they do that show, which I assume they will, in early January on NXT.